what's up, everybody? It is Red Kid, right back with you to review the latest pro wrestling news and results as part of WrestleMan. Cha-cha-cha, bang, 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 race, baby, yeah. Let's roll the dice. It's a little AEW Revolution MEGARANT time on a Tuesday, a day late and $1 short. On this rant, I was originally scheduling it for MEGARANT Monday, which is going to be a weekly occurrence. Every Monday, we will have a MEGARANT right here. But just kind of getting in the swing of things a little bit here on Wrestling Rants, getting back into the saddle again, doing rants on a weekly and daily basis coming up. Excuse me, this week is going to be a little bit, probably a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Not everything on complete points, but by next week, I think we're going to be able to have a rant every single day of the week. So, coming up after this rant, either tonight or probably is more than likely going to be tomorrow, we're going to be doing a top 10 takes looking back at NXT Roadblock, which I am just about to watch after doing this rant tonight, and we'll talk about it in the next rant top 10 takes. Usually scheduled for Tuesday. I'm going to try to get it in tonight, but it might be kind of a late evening to get another rant in at this point, but I will certainly try, folks, to do just that. If not, look for it Wednesday. Coming down the fold here on Wrestling Rants. Like I said in the previous rant with the Impact in Vegas, kind of look back at all the events from that one. The plan here is to have basically a rant every day of the week on a weekly basis, consistently day after day, the same themed rant every single particular day of the week. So we'll just talk about that one more time, and then we'll get into AEW Revolution, what a show that was. But here is the schedule as it's looking, probably starting, I'm hoping, on Sunday. We will kick off the week with Wrestling Roundup. That is a look back at all the week shows from the big leagues, WWE, AEW, Impact. We also are going to be covering NWA. We're going to be covering MLW and their show on Reel's channel, Underground, that's going on. We're going to cover everything that's available on a weekly basis in the world of wrestling that I can get my hands on. We'll be talking about it as part of Wrestling Roundup. Additionally, Wrestling Roundup will talk about some of the best and worst of the week, as well as any special events that came through the pipeline over the particular weekend of note. So be looking for that Sunday. Monday is MEGARANT Monday right here every week. We're going to do a big-ass rant on a big-ass event on a weekly basis. So be looking for that as well. Tuesday, top 10 takes. I talked about that just a second ago. Every week we'll have a different theme on a top 10 list. It could be a variety of topics that we'll be covering on top 10 takes. Wednesday's going to be a special day, a new rant that probably won't start this Thursday, tomorrow, but the following Wednesday, midweek matchups. On that first rant of midweek matchups, we're going to be taking a look back at the first half of March and all of the awesome matches that went down in that month. So come on back for that a week from tomorrow on midweek matchups. Retrospective, the Throwback Thursday rant is on Thursdays, where we look back at a past pay-per-view, special event, maybe could be a WrestleMania week I attended. Who knows what? That will be a part of Retrospective every week. Down the pipeline, looking forward to possibly turning Retrospective into a watch-along, where myself, my brother from another mother, Sandy Steve from the Vegas Bad Boys of Podcasting. Check them out on all platforms if you haven't yet. We're hoping to get together and do a watch-along every Thursday where we'll showcase a particular event in wrestling and run commentary over it. You're welcome to join us as well. We're going to try to get the ability to actually, have the thing going at the same time that we're talking about it. So be on the lookout for that down the road as well. Fridays is going to be Versus. That's our head-to-head battle of two shows with the same amount of time given to each. These are both 2-hour shows that we're going to be showcasing in Versus for the foreseeable future on a weekly basis. Impact versus Ring of Honor. They all have both content 2 hours long. It's a perfect opportunity to do Versus every week. Ring of Honor versus Impact. Then on the weekend, Saturdays is going to be laying the rant down. That'll be a kind of a look back in the insider news of the week in wrestling and throw my 2 cents on it. And then, like I said, rolling back into Sundays, that'll be Wrestling Roundup. So that is the schedule of events as we have right now. Like I said, this week's going to be a little scattered with content, but next week I think is going to be the big drop on week. Every single day, every single week, rants right here, 7 days a week. Be on the lookout, folks. It's coming soon. But for now, we got a mega rant on one hell of an AEW pay-per-view on Sunday. That was Revolution 2023 from the Chase Center in San Francisco, California. What a show it was. Just top to bottom. Pretty damn solid show. You can't really go wrong with AEW pay-per-views most of the time. And this one was absolutely no exception for sure. Let's talk about the numbers before we get into the matches themselves and my star rating analysis. Somewhere between 8,000 and 9,000 in attendance. Tony Khan was quoted in the Scrum. He said attendance was over 8,000 paid, and with comps, probably about 9,000 in the building. According to a website, the WrestleNomics guy, Brandon Thurston, I believe, puts this out, where he kind of lays out how many tickets are sold for an event and what the capacity is, or what the scheduled layout for the event is. The layout was about 10,200 in open seats. So with that said, it was getting pretty close to sold out, not fully sold out. The numbers were kind of low as well for Rampage, as well as Dynamite in the San Francisco area. This might be a formula that AEW may have to consider changing up maybe down the road in some hot markets like Las Vegas, for example, where Double or Nothing week will occur once again. They announced that on the pay-per-view, and I will be there, folks. So for all of that fun at Double or Nothing week. But AEW may have to consider rolling back on that idea of doing 3 consecutive shows in the same market, unless you're in Vegas, maybe Chicago, some of those bigger markets, you can get away with that. San Francisco, not too much. Buy rate wise or purchase wise on the pay-per-view, once again, Tony Khan on the Scrum was quoted as saying slightly above full gear for total number of buys. That was around 130, 140,000 buys streaming. So this does not count the traditional pay-per-views like DirecTV and the cable companies. This does not count the movie theaters as well. My brother from another Sin City, Steve, did check out AEW Revolution at a movie theater, and he talked about it. He said there was about 50 people in the theater. That's pretty good numbers. The times I've gone to see AEW pay-per-views in theaters, just a few times, but both times very low attendance here locally. So this one I did not see in the theater. I actually saw it traditional pay-per-view method, and just had a great time with the show. So let's get into it. First, let's talk about 0 Hour, that pre-show that they do for an hour. Normally cluttered with many matches that really didn't have much meaning. This time around, not so much. We had one match, and we had a complete format change on 0 Hour, which I really actually liked. Renee Paquette was there, kind of almost similar to the WWE's pre-shows, where they are in kind of the corner of the floor, out in front of the crowd. She was doing that, doing segments with Don Callis, Sanjay Dutt, Britt Baker, and then she'd do a lot of just kind of basically selling the pay-per-view for the entire hour. I thought it was a nice change of pace from especially WWE pre-shows are just complete waste of time. This one not so much. There was some insightful commentary on the pre-show from Renee and her guests. RJ City did interviews in the back. This part of it was a little bit more grating. RJ City was kind of overshadowing some of the talent. I thought with the way he was coming across, but he had a few decent interviews. Powerhouse Hobbs, good interview there. Adam Cole for sure, a really good interview on that one. So not all bad, but something they really may need to tweak a little bit in future pre-shows if they're going to have RJ City do this. Don't have him overshadow the talent when he's just interviewing them, basically. Only match we got on 0 Hour, and it was not the worst match on the card at all. In fact, quite the contrary. This was a pretty damn solid opener. Mark Briscoe and the Lucha Brothers over the Varsity Athletes and Josh Woods, Tony Nese, and Ari Daivari. Froggy Bowl by Mark on Daivari for the win. This went about 14 minutes time. I gave it 3 stars. Maybe even bunching up a little bit to 3.25 because the crowd for this show and the opener, just about everything on this show was fire. That really made the show even that much more special. You got a hot crowd in the arena. You can't compete with that. It makes all the matches that just much better. And the workers get into it more. This definitely was an example on this card. From top to bottom, really, really hot crowd. Like I said, opener, I went about 3 stars, maybe moving into 3.25, possibly a 14-minute match, that 6-man to open the card. We get into the actual pay-per-view. A few things of note on the pre-show as well. Double or Nothing information that dropped. Dynamite, Rampage, MGM Grand, and then Double or Nothing on the 28th of May from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. And you're damn right, I will be there. Also, they dropped the date for the All Access show that will be starting after Dynamite. That's going to be on March 29th. If you recall, on that same night, Adam Cole will be returning to action on Dynamite. Then we get into the actual pay-per-view. Ricky Starks over Chris Jericho, 14.5 minutes. I went 3.5 on this one. Really solid match. Was it better or worse than their Dynamite match? A lot of people are kind of going up and down on that opinion. I think it was. I think it was just a little bit better, but not by much. Rochambeau for the win. Ricky Starks goes over Jericho. That's a good sign of things for the future. How about in the third match on the card, the last burial match? So going into this, I really didn't know what to expect. I thought, is this a casket match? Is this a buried alive match? What is this exactly? Ultimately, ended up being a little bit of both. You have the casket in the corner of the stage, kind of similar to where the buried alive structure used to be when they'd have buried alive matches in WWE. They'd be kind of by the stage on the corner, elevated. This was similar to that. Basically, the coffin was elevated on the top of the area, which would be kind of where the whole of the buried alive match essentially would be. Then the whole gimmick was kind of goofy at the end, where when you shut that coffin, that means the match is over. But then the coffin actually dropped like a bad habit into the ground. I thought that was a cool visual at the finish of this one. Jungle Boy went over Christian Cage. 16.5 minutes of time on this one with the concerto. All the way storyline, great stuff. Jungle Boy got his revenge, got everything out of this match and then some. 3.75 stars I went for this one because I really enjoyed this match. I maybe even would go 4 stars conceivably on this match. I really thought this overachieved, and it was a really, really big and meaningful blow-off to that program that has been going on seemingly forever. But we finally got the blow-off with Jungle Boy, Jack Perry over Christian Cage in this last burial match. So it'll be interesting to see where they go Jack Perry from this point on. And likewise with Christian, where do you go from here? But definitely this program has taken some time to get here, and I'm glad it is now El Finate. Trios titles. This was one of the best matches on the show, for sure. House of Black over the Elite. Damn. 17:45 I had on the time on this one. Dante's Inferno on Matt Jackson for the finish. I went a solid 4 stars on this one. This was just all action. I mean, what you'd expect from these guys. Just top-notch work, all above. What's interesting is it appears that probably we're going to be seeing the Bucks and Kenny Omega kind of breaking away from the Elite Trios team. And the Bucks are probably going to get back in the tag division. And it appears that Kenny Omega is heading back to the singles division. Long overdue. He needs to be in some of these main event matches. I could definitely see a match with him and MJF down the road. That would be some fun shit for sure. This match just delivered on many levels. Also to know, I think there's definitely potential of a Kenny Omega and Aleister Black match. Maybe even a Buddy Matthews Kenny Omega match as well down the road. There's just lots of potential when you break away from these trios teams, especially with the Elite, and you get the Bucks and Omega back in their respective divisions. So at this point on the show, like, you got 4 matches that were all pretty much hitting strong. We had that opener on the pre-show, that 6-man. Then we went into Starks Jericho, Jungle Boy, Christian, Elite, House of Black, all stellar matches. Then we get to match 5. This is for the women's title. A little bit of a letdown. Only 10 minutes for Jamie Hayter going over Saraya and Ruby Soho. The match itself was a little bit clunky, a little bit off. They were kind of like rushing the spots. Right, I guess rightfully so. They only gave them 10 minutes. But something just wasn't clicking here completely. Roll-up crucifix by Hayter, I believe, on Soho for the win. I went 3 stars. I would maybe even go 3 1/4. I was trying to compare it to the opener, the 6-man. Comparatively to that, I think I'd probably go lower with this match. So I guess I'm going to go 3 stars on this one. A solid 3 stars for sure, but 3 stars nonetheless. The big news coming out of this was the heel turn by Ruby Soho after the match. Kind of some interesting foreshadowing as well. I don't know if anybody noticed this, but on her jacket, something about homegrown outsider or the true outsider or something along those lines. But it certainly foreshadowed the turn, and it kind of gave me vibes of the NWO thing a little bit in a very low-key way. But considering these are all talents that were originally from WWE and kind of originally got over in WWE as well, one could surmise this is kind of a take on the original idea of the NWO, where that was supposed to be WWE guys invading WCW. So just kind of interesting how the parallels are a little bit with that stuff. I don't know if that was the intention, and I guess at this point they could get away with it as well. Back in the day when this happened with the NWO, if y'all remember, there was legal mumbo-jumbo from WWF to WCW that they were infringing copyrights and misleading the public and all this kind of stuff. So, but here we are, and now AEW is basically doing the same thing as back in the day, and I guess the only difference is these talents didn't come directly from WWE into this storyline. They've all already been established in AEW for quite a while now, so I guess legally speaking, that is where they're safe on this one. Then we get to match 6, another absolute fucking humdinger for this show. Texas Death Match, Adam Page over Jon Moxley. So many wild barbed wire spots, blood aplenty, ultra physical match. It was just one thing after another in this match. It was wild. It was violent as hell. Jon Moxley with the fork spots, channeling his inner Abdullah the Butcher. My God. Unbelievable. And they gave this match almost a half hour, and rightfully so. This felt if there wasn't an Ironman match, this would have been your main event right here. I mean, it was worked like a main event. It felt like a main event. The crowd was into it like a main event, and they certainly worked it like a main event. Moxley losing by that chain choke, hung over the ropes, and he actually tapped out. Really cool intro for Adam Page with that new music. I hope they keep that. I think it's an old 70s song or something like that. Riders of the Storm or Sunset. I can't remember the name of it, but keep that, AEW. It fits Hangman Page just perfectly. I went 4.25 stars for this match. I may even bump it a little bit, even more to like 4.5 stars. It was that damn good. Really, really excellent Texas Death Match. One of the best Texas Death Matches I've ever seen, frankly. TNT titles next. Here's a bit of a letdown of a match. Only 10 minutes for Wardlow over Samoa Joe to win back that TNT title. Rear naked choke. He reversed it on Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe tapped essentially to his own finish, which is pretty phenomenal when you think about it. 3.25 stars I went on this one too. But I'll be honest, I expected more from this one than what we got. It was short. It was physical, but something was definitely missing from this match. And then take a note, of course, that Powerhouse Hobbs, who won that Revolution ladder match on Dynamite, he faces Wardlow this coming Wednesday. So there was a little scuttlebutt after the match involving that. You get into the match that I have to say was probably my least favorite match of this card. I just couldn't get into it, and that was that 4-way tag title match. The Guns over the Acclaim, Jay Lethal, Double J Jeff Jarrett, as well as Danhausen and Orange Cassidy. Yeah, I don't know what it was about this match. I wasn't invested in it in the first place. I didn't really go for the whole Orange Cassidy and Danhausen thing as the last team. I felt something bigger could have happened and should have happened. And it probably was. They should have really put FTR in that spot on last Wednesday's Dynamite. They should have been in this match, and they should have won the tag titles immediately. As it were, 14-minute match. I went 3 stars. More baiting on the side of 2.75 to 3 stars, I would say, for this one. 310 to Yuma on the finish. I believe that was on Danhausen by the Guns. I just couldn't get into this match as much as I would have liked to. It just, between this and Hobbs, and Wardlow and Samoa Joe, this was the proverbial lull of the show if there was one on the show. But that said, the show flowed very well. 10 minutes on that Wardlow match and only 14 on this one. I mean, it wasn't like they were given a shit ton of time at least for either of these matches. But definitely there was a lull at this point. Then it picks back up, obviously, with the FTR return after the tag title match. Huge pop. Dax Harwood got somehow busted open like crazy. Hard way, obviously. It was just a weird moment for sure. But it was great to see FTR back. And by the way, if you haven't checked out Dax's podcast, do it. It's really good. He's super honest. There's just a lot of insider stuff that he talks about. He's very honest about the history of him and his tag partner in WWE, what their thoughts are on Vince McMahon, things like that. It's worth going out of your way to check out the podcast. But good to see FTR back. They're definitely needed in the tag division. The tag division needs a big push forward, and hopefully getting those belts on FTR will do just that. Word is they have signed a long-term contract as well. That has not been confirmed, but it certainly seems with them returning that it's very possible. Then we get into this wild, fantastic main event that probably was the best Ironman match in pro wrestling history, at least in the United States. I don't know what kind of history there are of Ironman matches across the states, across the ocean rather, but this one beat any WWE Ironman match I can think of. Damn. Yeah, MJF over Bryan Danielson in that sudden death overtime after going a full hour. They went another about 7 or 8 minutes. And what can you say? This was something else. This was certainly a match to remember. Let's talk about first the entrances, particularly that string ensemble entrance for MJF. That was something else. Let me talk about just some time marks of this match of importance. To 25 to 25 and a half minute mark, we got our first fall with the Bishaka knee from Bryan Danielson for that first fall. 26:35, very quickly after that first fall, we get a disqualification to MJF for a low blow. So at that point, we're Danielson 2, MJF 0. But then MJF gets literally 2 quick falls from that low blow. Interesting booking on this one. So now we're 2-2. That happened at only the 26:50 mark. 30 minutes in, a running knee to the corner on the outside by Bryan to MJF. It's a big spot. Another big spot was about the 37-minute mark. The elbow from the top rope to Danielson, who was on a table, looked fucking fantastic. Soon after that, there also, as that table broke, there was part of the table that was kind of extended out. Well, MJF decided to do a absolutely brutal running tombstone into the corner of that table. It's just scary seeing Bryan Danielson taking some of these spots, let me tell you. Then we get to about the 41-minute mark, and that's where MJF actually takes the lead, 3 falls to 2 on what they call the heat seeker, that really spiked DDT maneuver. 46 minutes in, Danielson does a top rope headbutt, or actually 48 minutes in, Danielson does a tremendous top rope headbutt, which opens up MJF wide open. He's bleeding like a stuck pig. And soon after that, MJF actually taps out to the Regal stretch, which I believe was a really nice touch for this match. It was just so much planning and really meticulousness to this match. Super impressed with that. So at the 50-minute mark around, I think it was 50 or 55-minute mark, MJF taps to the Regal stretch. That puts things at 3-3. And then near the end there, Danielson fought hard, had that half crab on MJF. He did not tap as we went to overtime. Crowd basically shit all over the idea that this was a draw. Soon after that, they announced sudden death overtime. And it just gets better from there with the oxygen tank spot. Man, it was just a wild series of events in that overtime. MJF tried to get the belt in the ring, tried to cheat to win. That didn't work. The diamond ring didn't work. So then he goes in a desperate way with the oxygen tank spot into the label lock. And I have to talk about that label lock spot with Danielson doing the hope spot on the third arm down. He fights it. The crowd goes absolutely wild. And then like literally 10, maybe 15 seconds later, MJF cranks it and Danielson taps. I thought that was so well laid out. What a match. What a fucking main event. This will be probably the first 5-star match of AEW this year that I feel there is. This was really that good. Just a tremendous main event to cap off a pretty damn good Revolution. Was it better than last year's? Maybe. I think the undercard was better last year's Revolution, but the main event was certainly better this year. But still a solid show. I'd go A- total on this one. It was really good. If you haven't seen it yet, go out of your way to check out the Trios match for sure, for the Trios titles. That Texas Death Match is a must-see, as well as that Ironman match, no question about it. All right, everybody, coming up next, Top 10 Takes, NXT Roadblock. What is going on with this show tonight? We'll talk about it either tonight or tomorrow in a Top 10 Takes as NXT does their final big event to lead to WrestleMania weekend, Stand and Deliver. See you all right back here! Yeah! For some more wrestling! Friends, bye!